The sky was burning. Ashes fell like snow. The city was broken. Buildings half standing. Smoke rising everywhere. Fires lit the dark corners where life once lived, and in the middle of that silence, small footsteps echoed on the cracked ground. She walked slowly, a small alien girl, no older than 9. Her skin was pale blue, glowing softly under the firelight. Her eyes, large and violet, were filled with tears that had stopped falling. There were no more tears left in her. She wore a torn dress soaked in ash and blood. Her hair was messy, her arms bruised. She didn't speak. She just walked alone in the distance. Heavy boots slammed on metal ground. Human soldiers moved through the ruins, scanning for survivors. Their armor black and red, their weapons hot from battle. They laughed, joked, picked up alien tech like toys. They didn't see the girl at first. She was just a shadow between the shadows. Then, one man saw her, Commander Raiden, tall, strong. His face hidden behind a cracked helmet. He raised his rifle without thinking. That was protocol. No survivors, no risks. The girl stopped walking. She looked up at him, her eyes glowing. Gently, her voice soft. She didn't run, she didn't beg. She only asked, "Can I please stay with you?" Raiden froze. He had heard screams, orders, gunshots, silence, but never a question like that. Not from an alien child. Not after this war. The rifle shook slightly in his hand. He should have pulled the trigger. He was trained to pull it. But her voice stayed in his ears, calm, quiet, like a whisper in a storm. "Where is your family?" he asked, his voice rough. The girl looked down. She whispered, "Gone." Raiden lowered his weapon a little. He looked around. Dead bodies, crushed homes, burned skies. She really had no one left. He cursed under his breath. This wasn't his job. He was a soldier, not a babysitter, not a protector, not a savior. But still, he didn't shoot. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then said, "Lyra. Why did you come to me?" "Because you didn't shoot me right away," she replied. Simple, honest, cold truth. Raiden turned his head. His team was not far. If they saw her, they'd kill her fast. No questions, no mercy. He looked down at the girl again. Still standing, still waiting, like she didn't care if he said yes or no, like she had already lost everything. And this was just the last coin she could flip. He stepped closer. "Follow me," he said quietly. She didn't smile. She didn't say thank you. She just walked behind him. Raiden led her through broken streets, past walls painted with blood. He opened a hidden panel behind a metal wall, a safe point for soldiers. Inside was dark and cold, but safer than outside. She sat on the floor, knees to chest. He watched her silently. He took off his helmet, revealing tired eyes and an old scar across his face. "You shouldn't trust me," he said. "I don't." She replied, gently. Raiden laughed a dry, tired sound. "You're smart." She looked at him with those violet eyes. "Smart is not enough to survive," she said. Raiden looked away. She was right. The door sealed shut, and the room fell into silence. Only the hum of broken machines around them. Raiden sat down across from her. He didn't know why he brought her in. Maybe it was guilt, maybe loneliness, maybe something else. But now she was here, and he didn't know what to do next. Suddenly, a soft voice came through his "Commander, report. Any alien life signs left?" Raiden looked at Lyra. She was staring at the door. "Calm, waiting." He replied, "Negative. Just debris and bodies." "Copy that," the voice said. Then silence. Raiden turned off the He looked at Lyra. "You're not safe," he said. "I know," she replied. "I might regret this." "You already do," she whispered. He sighed, stood up, and threw her a small blanket from his pack, tried to sleep. Lyra held the blanket but didn't lie down. She sat against the wall, eyes wide open, watching the dark. Raiden sat opposite her, cleaning his weapon slowly. They said nothing. But in that quiet moment, something had changed. A soldier and an alien child. Not enemies, not yet allies. Just two lost souls in the firelight. Outside, the city kept burning. But inside that small shelter, a strange silence had begun. Not peace, not safety, but maybe the start of something different. Something dangerous, something real, and far above. In a hidden orbit, someone else was watching. A red light blinked. A message sent, the human has taken the child. Asterisk rain fell quietly on the ship's window. Artificial rain made from recycled water. It tapped gently. Like someone knocking from the outside, but no one ever came from the outside. Not here, not in space. Lyra sat alone, her knees pulled close to her chest. The blanket Raiden gave her was too big, but she held it tightly. Her eyes were open. But she wasn't really looking at anything. Raiden had left the small cabin. He said nothing when he walked out, just picked up his weapon and disappeared into the hallway. Maybe to think, maybe to forget. Lyra didn't cry. She hadn't cried since yesterday. Or maybe it was 2 days ago. Time was strange now. Without the sun, without her mother's voice, she closed her eyes, and for a moment, the memory came back, clearer than the sound of the rain. Her mother, dying in the fire. 1 day earlier, the house was shaking. Explosions outside made the ground scream. Lyra and her mother ran through the smoke, holding hands, not looking back. Stay close to me, her mother whispered. She was tall, strong, with markings on her face like silver stars. Lyra had always thought she looked like a hero from the old stories. But heroes don't cry, and her mother was crying now. They reached a small shelter under the temple ruins. It was dark, wet, and full of dust. Her mother sealed the door and sat down, breathing hard. Lyra touched her hand. It was shaking then. The sounds came footsteps. Metal, human voices, close, angry, fast. Lyra looked at her mother. She nodded. Pulled out a small, glowing crystal from her pouch. They came for this, her mother said softly. Her voice was calm. Even when the doors started to break, they think it's a weapon. Lyra didn't understand, but it's just a story stone. She whispered. Her mother nodded. Yes, and in the wrong hands, stories can become weapons. Then the door burst open. Human soldiers filled the room. Her mother stood up, raised her hands, shielded Lyra, and they opened fire. Lyra never forgot the sound her mother made. Not a scream, just a breath, a quiet, final breath. The crystal fell from her hand. It rolled toward Lyra's foot. She picked it up, not knowing why, and then she ran out through the cracks, through dust and flame, until she found no one. Until she found silence. Until she saw the man in black armor, Raiden, and whispered, "Can I please stay with you?" Now, in the present, the rain stopped. The ship made a soft humming sound as it drifted through space. Lyra opened her hand. The crystal was still there, hidden under the blanket. It pulsed with a faint light, warm, like a heartbeat. She didn't know what it was, only that her mother died to protect it, and now it was hers. The door opened slowly. Raiden walked in, carrying 2 food packets. He placed one on the floor in front of her. No words, just silence. She stared at it, then looked up at him. "Do you kill children?" she asked softly. Raiden blinked, then sat down. "No," he said. "Not even alien ones." "Not today," he replied. They ate quietly. The food tasted like metal and salt, but it filled the stomach. Raiden leaned back against the wall. His face looked older now, even under the dim lights. "Why did you really take me in?" Lyra asked. Raiden didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because you asked, that's all." "That's more than most people ever do." She looked down. My mother died yesterday, she whispered. Raiden didn't move. I saw her fall. She didn't scream. She just let go. Raiden looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. People die in war, he said, but not all of them should. Lyra nodded slowly. I don't want to die. You won't, he said. I can't promise forever, but not today. He stood up and started walking away, then stopped at the door. What was your mother's name? He asked. Lyra smiled for the first time. A tiny smile. Sevilla, she said. She used to tell me stories before sleep about the stars and the humans, she said. Humans used to be kind. Raiden paused. Some still are, he said. Then the door closed behind him, alone again. Lyra held the crystal close to her chest. It glowed a little brighter, and somewhere deep in the ship, an unknown signal began to blink, tracking her, calling to someone. The story stone had awakened, and the war was far from over. The ship drifted quietly through the black sea of stars. Outside, it was endless silence. Inside, the silence was heavier, like it carried weight. Raiden stood alone in the command room, staring at the screen. No new orders, no alarms, just a blinking message he refused to open. He had lied to command. He had taken in an alien child, and every second she stayed on board. He was breaking military law, but she hadn't begged. She hadn't screamed. She just sat there, like someone who had already accepted her end. He hated that look. He had seen it in too many soldiers. Now he was seeing it in a child. Lyra moved slowly through the hallway. Her bare feet made no sound. On the metal floor, she had memorized the path to the food station, to the sleeping area, and now to the window. She loved the window. It showed the stars like her mother's stories. Tiny lights that never went out, even when worlds burned. She touched the glass. It was cold, but outside. One star blinked in a strange way, almost like it was watching her. She didn't tell Raiden. He didn't seem like the kind of person who liked talking. He was always fixing weapons, cleaning gear, checking flight paths, and always watching her like she was a bomb waiting to explode. Later that day, he walked into the room and dropped a small object in front of her. It was a worn-out datapad, screen cracked. For you, he said. What is it? She asked. Old stories, he replied. You like those, right? She picked it up slowly. There were files, tales from Earth, pictures, even music. He turned to leave, but she asked, Why are you helping me? Raiden didn't look at her. Maybe because I don't know what else to do, he said. She watched him walk out, but this time she followed. The workshop was filled with broken machines, parts, tools, and maps. Raiden sat with a soldering gun in one hand and a tired look on his face. Lyra stood by the door. Can I stay? She asked. He didn't answer. She stepped in anyway, sat on the floor, and watched him work. After some time, she whispered, My mother said humans used to build things, not destroy them. Raiden glanced at her. Your mother was smart. She was, Lyra said. So was my father, but I never met him. Raiden put down the tool. Why are you really here, Lyra? He asked. I don't mean on this ship. I mean in this war. Why were they hunting you? Lyra hesitated. She reached into her clothes and pulled out the crystal. The glow was stronger now. Raiden leaned forward, eyes narrowing. What is that? I don't know exactly. She replied, but it reacts to me, and they want it. They say it's the key. The key to what? She looked at him with those soft violet eyes. I think a weapon, or maybe a memory. Something big, something old. Raiden leaned back. This is bigger than both of us, he muttered. I should turn you in. Lyra nodded. You should? Do you trust me not to? No, she said. But I'm still here. He stared at her, confused. That's a stupid kind of trust. It's not trust, she said. It's hope. Raiden stood up and walked to the corner. He opened a metal locker and pulled out a small pulse knife. Then turned and tossed it to her. "Hold it," he said. Lyra caught it clumsily. The blade hummed softly. He knelt down in front of her. "If you're staying on my ship, you learn how to protect yourself. I don't want to kill anyone." She whispered. "Neither did I," Raiden said. But the universe didn't care. They trained for hours in the quiet room. Lyra's hands were small but quick. She learned to balance, to step back, to block. Raiden didn't praise her, but he didn't stop teaching either. As they rested, Lyra asked, "What happens when Command finds out?" Raiden looked at the dark window. "They'll send someone to take me." "To kill both of us," he said simply. Silence filled the room again. The only sound was the low hum of space engines. Lyra looked down at the pulse knife in her hand. "I won't run again," she said. Raiden nodded slowly. "And I won't hand you over." Their eyes met, soldier and child. No handshake, no oath, just an understanding. Unspoken but strong, but outside, something was already moving. A distant ship had picked up a faint signal from a crystal inside a stolen ship. And a voice on that ship smiled coldly. "Found them." The silence of deep space shattered. A shadow moved across the stars, dark, quiet, and fast. Not a warship, not a beacon, but something worse. A tracker inside Raiden's ship. Everything felt calm. To calm, Lyra was asleep, her small hand still gripping the pulse knife under her blanket. Raiden watched her from the hallway monitor. He didn't know why he kept checking. Maybe because he knew peace never lasted long. Then the alarm blinked, not loud. Just one red light flashing in the corner of the screen. Tracking system active. Incoming scan detected. Raiden stood up slowly. His hand went straight to his sidearm. He stared at the console, at the blinking signal. "Someone found us," he whispered. He shut off all external signals. Closed comm lines, darkened the ship. Low power mode. No light, no noise. Like a turtle hiding inside its shell. But the tracker kept coming. Smooth, steady, cold. It wasn't broadcasting a signal. It was following one. Raiden's eyes moved to the crystal on the scanner, still glowing softly in the room where Lyra slept. Of course, it wasn't her they had tracked. It was the thing inside her pocket. He moved fast, opening the door to her room. "Lyra, wake up." She blinked, confused. "We're leaving." She sat up quickly. "Is it them?" "Yes," he said. "They're coming fast." Raiden grabbed his gear and opened a hidden panel under the floor. He pulled out 2 suits, black light. "Fast, put it on," he said. She did, silently. "Are you scared?" he asked. Lyra nodded. "Good," Raiden said. "Fear keeps you alive." They ran to the cockpit. Raiden slammed the ignition. Engines hummed, controls lit up. "Hold on," he said, and then full power. The ship burst forward, turning away from the signal, but the tracker adjusted instantly, still behind, still following. "They're not human," Lyra said quietly. Raiden glanced at her. "What do you mean?" "That ship." "I've seen it before," she said. "They're bounty hunters, not from your side." Raiden cursed under his breath. Bounty hunters were worse than soldiers. They didn't care about laws or rules. They only cared about the reward. And if someone had put a price on Lyra, it must be a high one. He opened a comm channel to nearby space traffic. Unknown ship pursuing. Requesting assist. Static. No reply. "Of course," he muttered. No one wanted to help a criminal. And by now, that's exactly what he was. A traitor, a kidnapper to them. "Should we fight?" Lyra asked. Raiden shook his head. "We can't outrun them forever." He opened the emergency nav map. There was one option, a debris zone left over from an old battle. Dangerous, but full of cover. He changed course. Behind them, the tracker. Ship fired a silent pulse. It wasn't a weapon. It was a warning. Raiden saw it on the radar. They want to disable us, he said. Not destroy, Lyra replied. They need me alive. Raiden tightened his grip on the controls. Then, we use that. They reached the debris field within minutes. Huge chunks of metal, broken satellites, shattered ships. A graveyard in space. Raiden turned off the main engine and drifted into the mess. The ship floated quietly, hiding between two massive warship corpses. Lyra held her breath. Even the hum of the ship seemed too loud now. Then, silence. The tracker ship stopped moving. It was close, too close. Just above them, Raiden whispered, "If we move, they'll see us." Lyra nodded. She touched the crystal in her pocket. It was cold now, like it was sleeping. Minutes passed. Then a soft noise, a boarding signal. "They're not waiting," Raiden said. "They're coming in." He handed Lyra a small stun device. "You stay behind me, no matter what." She nodded, holding it tight. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't cry. She just stared at the door. Waiting, the lights flickered. Footsteps echoed, metal boots on metal floor. 1, 2, maybe 3 of them. Then the door burst open. Smoke filled the hallway. Raiden fired first. 2 quick shots. 1 hit, 1 missed. Lyra covered her ears, but didn't scream. A tall figure stepped through the smoke, its face hidden behind a mask with red lights. It spoke in a voice that didn't sound fully alive. "Hand over the child." Raiden stepped forward. "You'll have to kill me first." The figure tilted. "Its head that can be arranged." They charged. Raiden blocked the blow with his arm. Fired again. Lyra ran back, hiding behind the engine core. She closed her eyes and held the crystal close. Then a pulse, not from a weapon, from her. The room lit up. The crystal pulsed bright blue. Then white. The bounty hunter screamed and fell back. Systems overloaded. Raiden turned, shocked. "What did you do?" Lyra looked at her hands, glowing faintly. I don't know," she whispered. The attackers were down. The ship was damaged, but they were alive. Raiden knelt beside her. "You're more than just a kid." She looked up. "So are you." But outside, the signal had already been sent. Coordinates, location, threat level, and far away. Both human and alien commanders watched the screen and said the same thing. "Find them." Raiden stared at the girl. She stood at the center of the engine room. Eyes wide, face pale, hands still glowing. The crystal had gone silent again, but its energy had left something behind. A pulse, a warning, a message they didn't yet understand. "You did that," Raiden said slowly. Lyra looked at her hands. "I didn't mean to." "But you did," he replied, "and that means you're dangerous." She stepped back, her eyes filled with fear, but not of herself. She was afraid of him. Raiden saw it. And something inside him twisted. He didn't want her to fear him, but he didn't want to lie to her either. He took a breath, sat down on the floor, and nodded to her. "Sit," he said. Lyra hesitated, then joined him. For a long moment, they said nothing. The engines hummed, lights flickered, somewhere in the distance. Tools clattered from earlier fighting, then Raiden spoke. "When I was a child, my world got hit during a border war. My father didn't make it. My mother was never found. I was taken by soldiers, trained, given orders. No time for crying, no time for asking questions." He looked at her. "You remind me of that boy. But that boy didn't glow like a star and knock bounty hunters flat." Lyra looked down. "I don't know what I am," she whispered. "My mother said I was born different. She used to say the stars sang to me before I could even speak." Raiden raised an eyebrow. "That's poetic." "She meant it," Lyra said. "She said something old lives in our bloodline, something forgotten by most, but feared by some." Raiden leaned back. "Now I believe it." He tapped the crystal gently. It lit up again, just a flicker. No battery, no circuits. Yet it responds to you, he said. You're carrying something ancient. Or maybe something alive. Lyra blinked. Alive? Raiden nodded. There are weapons that think, machines that dream. But this feels different. She closed her fingers around the crystal. If it's alive, does it feel me? Probably, Raiden said. And if I feel pain, does it? Raiden didn't answer, because the truth was, he didn't know. Later, as the ship moved toward a quiet orbit near a dead moon, Raiden activated a security scan. He checked the internal systems. The ship had taken damage during the fight. Nothing fatal, but the shields were weak. Lyra stood behind him, holding a datapad. She had drawn something, a circle, some stars, and lines connecting them. Raiden looked at it. What's this? A dream I had, she said, before we were attacked. He studied the drawing. The shape was strange, but familiar. It looked like an ancient star map, one not used in human systems. Where did you see this? He asked. Lyra touched her head. In here, Raiden didn't say it, but he knew what this meant. She wasn't just a child with a rare crystal. She was a key, not just to a weapon, but to knowledge that had been buried for centuries. He sat back, hands behind his head. What do I do with you? He muttered. Turn me in. Lyra asked softly. I'm still an alien, and now I'm a threat. Raiden looked at her. You think I haven't thought about it? You think I don't hear command every day in my head? Yelling orders? Lyra nodded slowly. But you haven't done it? Why? Raiden stood up, walked to the window, and stared at the dead moon below. Because maybe, deep down, he was tired of taking orders. Tired of wars that never ended. Tired of killing first and asking later. I think, he said slowly. I'd rather protect one strange kid than serve one more lie. Lyra smiled, just a little. It was the first real smile he had seen from her, but peace never lasted long. An alarm lit up again, not from outside, from inside. Someone had accessed the ship's system, a remote signal. Embedded deep inside the old human tech, Raiden cursed. It's a bug. They planted it before I stole the ship. The screen glitched, and a voice came through the speaker. Female, cold, smooth, Raiden, you're harboring a level 7 threat. Surrender the target, and your punishment will be reduced. Raiden's blood ran cold. They were watching him. Probably had been since the first day. Lyra stared at the screen. The voice continued. She is not what she seems. She is a weapon stolen from an enemy vault. Designed to adapt, grow, and destroy. Lyra stepped back. No, she whispered. That's not me. Raiden shut the comm, smashed the console. Don't listen, he said. They lie, even when they speak truth. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. But what if I really am something they made? Raiden knelt down. Then you choose what you do with it. You're not just a child, Lyra. You're something new. And the galaxy doesn't know what to do with that. Above the dead moon, 3 ships began to descend. No more bounty hunters. These were military grade. Human ships. Raiden looked at the radar. They're here, he said. We don't run this time. Lyra gripped the crystal. I'm ready, she said, and for the first time. Raiden believed her. Asterisk, the stars outside were no longer peaceful. They flickered like warning lights. 3 ships moved closer to the moon's orbit. Their engines quiet, but their intentions loud. Raiden watched the radar with a tight jaw. 3 ships, all human. Not scouts, not negotiators. These were strike class. He leaned forward, tapped the comm screen. Still nothing, he muttered. Jammed signals, locked out systems. They were being boxed in. And command wasn't asking questions anymore. Behind him, Lyra stood silently. The crystal around her neck pulsed with a slow glow. Not bright, not dangerous, but alive. Can we escape? She asked. Raiden shook his head. Not in this ship. They've got speed, weapons, and the element of surprise. So what do? We buy time, Raiden said, and we lie. Raiden opened the emergency channel. This time, it worked. The face that appeared on the screen wore a sharp uniform and an expression carved from stone. Commander Raiden, the officer said, or should I say, ex-commander. Raiden didn't flinch. Captain Sarah, he replied, I didn't expect you to lead this yourself. You stole a military ship, broke 6 codes, and kidnapped a classified target. She said calmly, I like to finish my own work. Raiden glanced at Lyra. She stood just outside the camera's view, quiet, still, watching. She's not a threat, Raiden said. She's a child. She's a weapon, Sarah replied. You've seen what she can do, Raiden leaned forward. She's learning to control it. She doesn't want to hurt anyone. But she will, Sarah said, because that's what she was made to do. Lyra's eyes lowered. Raiden noticed, and something in him cracked. Let me bring her in safely, he said. I'll land on neutral ground. No cuffs, no violence. Sarah paused, then nodded. Under one condition, you follow the protocol. You isolate the target. Raiden's blood turned cold. He knew what that meant. Betrayal protocol. Hand her over and walk away like she was cargo. Like she was nothing. Understood, he said quietly, then ended the call. Raiden sat in the control chair, not moving. Lyra stepped closer. They're going to take me. Raiden didn't answer. They told you to give me up, didn't they? He nodded. Yes. Are you going to do it? I told them, yes. But he looked up at her. But I haven't decided what the truth is yet. Lyra took a step back. There was pain in her eyes, not fear, disappointment. You told me I could trust you. I told you I'd protect you, he said. Sometimes they don't mean the same thing. She didn't speak. She just walked away into the back room, and Raiden sat alone, hands shaking. He had been a soldier his whole life, and now he didn't know what side he was on. That night, while he repaired the shields, he didn't notice the door to the escape pod had opened. Lyra stood inside, holding the crystal, staring at the launch panel. She whispered, I'm not going to let you betray yourself for me. Then she hit the release. Raiden turned just as the emergency lights flashed red. He ran to the pod. Bay. But it was too late. The small pod launched into the darkness. He saw her face through the window. Calm, brave, sad. No, he said. Slamming his fist on the panel. Lyra, what are you doing? Her voice came through the radio, soft and clear. I'm giving you a way out. They won't hurt you if I'm gone. Tell them you captured me. Raiden shook his head. I didn't save you so you could save me. She smiled faintly. Too bad, she whispered, because that's exactly what I'm doing. The pod glided toward the lead human ship. Its beacon was active, surrender mode engaged. Inside, Lyra sat still, but the crystal in her hand grew brighter. Warmer. Suddenly the light shot upward, through the roof, through the pod walls. It sent a signal, a flare, something ancient, something waiting. The pod systems glitched. The receiving ship's radar went dark for a moment, and then the flare was answered. Far beyond the moon, something moved, something old, something asleep for centuries. And now, awake? Back on the ship, Raiden stood in silence. Then he grabbed his gear, opened the weapons case, and loaded his rifle. He looked at the map, traced the escape pod's path, then turned to the camera. You said, I broke code. He whispered, good, because I'm about to break a few more. He launched the ship, full power, straight toward the lead vessel. No stealth, no fear, just fire and engines. Because if they wanted Lyra, they'd have to go through him first. And above them, from the deep black sky, something else was coming. Something that heard the flare. Something that remembered the stars. The stars trembled, not from light, but from something deeper. Something old had woken. Something that remembered war, and the ones who tried to end it, Raiden's ship sliced through the black sky. Faster than it ever had. Engines screamed, shields burned, but he didn't slow down. Not for them, not for orders, not anymore. The lead human ship loomed ahead, gray, wide, armored like a floating city. God. It had swallowed the escape pod. It had. Taken Lyra, Raiden opened the comm. "This is Raiden," he said. "You touched the girl. I burn your ship to dust." No answer, just static, and the cold hum of a system that never cared who was right. Only who followed the rules inside the ship. Lyra sat in a cold white room, hands chained gently, as if that made it better. Scientists stared at her through glass. One of them whispered, "It's growing. The crystal is bonding faster." She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared at the wall, waiting, hoping. Then she felt something, a spark, not from the crystal, from far away, a feeling. He's coming, and he was. Raiden's ship smashed through the outer bay doors. Alarms blared, soldiers shouted. They didn't expect him to be so reckless, or maybe just so angry. He moved like a ghost with a gun, knocking out patrols, jamming systems, step by step. Hallway by hallway, he followed the signal, not from radar, from his gut, from a promise. "I won't hand you over. I'll protect you, even if it kills me." He found the room. Guards stood ready, weapons raised. Raiden didn't wait. One flash grenade, 2 shots, 3 moves, and they were on the ground. He kicked open the door, and there she was, still sitting, still quiet. But her eyes lit up the second she saw him. "You came. I told you I would." He shot the cuffs, pulled her close. They ran. But the alarm had reached command, and now Sarah herself was on their trail. With a squad of elites, not bounty hunters, not drones, real soldiers, trained for war. They made it to the hangar bay. Raiden shoved Lyra behind a control console. "Get that gate open," he said. "I'll hold them." But no time. He said, "You're smarter than me. Use it." She worked fast. Fingers flying over controls she barely understood. But the crystal helped glowing brighter, guiding her. Raiden turned, gun ready. The first squad entered. He fired without hesitation, not to kill, just to stop, to protect. He took 2 hits to the arm, 1 to the leg, still stood, still fired. Then Sarah stepped in. Her voice calm. "Raiden, this ends now. You're right," he said. And then behind her, the ceiling cracked. Light poured in. A new shape. Descended, not a ship, not a machine, something ancient, something alive. It looked like a satellite. But it moved like an animal. Metal wings folded open, glowing symbols across its surface. It was responding to the crystal, to Lyra, everyone. Stopped firing, everyone stared. Even Sarah. "What is that?" Raiden turned to Lyra. She stepped forward. The crystal floated out of her hand. Glowing so bright, it looked like a second sun. The ancient machine spoke, not in words, but in sound. A deep hum that echoed in the bones. It scanned Lyra, then Raiden. Then everyone else. Then it projected an image, a memory, a galaxy torn apart by war, and one child with the power to stop it. Not by killing, but by connecting. The crystal wasn't a weapon. It was a bridge, to peace, to understanding, to something bigger than both sides. Sarah lowered her weapon, slowly. "I didn't know." She said, "No one did." Raiden replied. The ancient machine faded into the sky. The crystal returned to Lyra's hand. It's no longer glowing, just resting. Weeks later, on a quiet planet with green trees and real air, Raiden and Lyra built a small house. Nothing fancy, metal walls, solar. Roof, one window that looked at the stars. She helped plant food in the soil. He taught her how to fix engines, and at night, they sat by a fire and shared stories. She still dreamed of stars, but they didn't scare her anymore. One night, as they sat quietly, Lyra looked up. "Are we safe now?" Raiden nodded slowly. For now, she leaned against his arm. "Do. I still have to leave one day." He looked at her, his voice soft. "You can stay forever." The stars blinked above them. Not warnings, just lights. And for once, no one was watching. No one was chasing. They were free, together, forever.